This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. And welcome to my review of the third book in the New Jedi Order franchise. This is Dark Tide to Ruin, and it's been like over a month since I finished this book. I literally just haven't had a chance to record this review. So my memory might not be great, and it might be jumbled with some of the other New Jedi Order books because I've already finished the next one and am, I think, about 3/4 of the way done with the book after it. So let's go straight into this review. So again, I pulled up the Wikipedia page just to make sure I got everything from this one, but I might still get a few things confused while doing it because again, I'm already nearly 2 books past this. And this is a solid book. It has a very devastating ending and is the first, major victory by the Vong. Obviously, they have had their other victories, and the defeats have been more personal or to like lesser systems. But this is, in terms of the galaxy, the first major battle of it and the first major loss of the New Republic. Of course, things are going to get a lot worse from here, like a couple trillion times worse. Well, I mean that's a couple 100 trillion times worse because knowing how many people die in this war is really insane. And going into this novel specifically, it goes through a few different plot lines. The main ones are of one with Luke and his nephew Anakin going and trying to stop a Twi'lek Jedi. I believe the name is pronounced Deshalor. I could be wrong, but from other like lore videos, I think that's how I heard the name was pronounced. And they're trying to prevent her from going and either finding or creating a super weapon to use against the Vong. And that one is more of a minor one of the big stories, with the more major one including Jason, Corran Horn, and a few other Jedi going to a Vong controlled world and figuring out that trees from Ithor can create a pollen that is toxic to the Vong's living armor, and that was used to take out multiple Vong very easily. And that's what sets up the ultimate final conflict as everyone converges to Ithor, where, in very similar ways to at least the books that I've been reading so far, all the plot lines ultimately converge to one planet, and on that planet, there is an ultimate final battle. And looking at this one, the Battle of Ithor is looking like it's going to be a very prolonged conflict until Corran Horn goes and challenges the Vong, who, in one of the more minor plot lines of this, is the Kamasi senator that is named Elagros, who goes and meets with the Vong to try and get peace, is murdered by the Vong for what they see as a slight against the Vong, where in the previous novel, the body of a Vong was taken by Corran Horn, which leads to a pretty dark scene where Corrin is given a gift with the head of his friend placed inside. And Corrin uses this and the fact that they want the body back to put a duel between him and the Vong leader of the operation for control of the planet. And even though some of the Jedi aren't fully on board, including Luke, they see this as the best way to save lives. So they allow it to happen, and Corrin ultimately wins the fight, defeating the Vong and actually killing him, even admitting that this wasn't for the more noble reasons he said they were going to be, and he just simply wanted revenge and was very regretful about that, which is made even worse when the new Vong commander decides to not honor the word of his predecessor and launches an attack on Ithor, completely destroying the world. And this is a very major defeat because Ithor, although, unless you are a little more of a bigger Legends fan, may not be a planet you notice, but it is a more major one. It's not one of the biggest, but is really well known and is known for being, completely peaceful. This is just a really devastating moment, and I think that it does push towards kind of a lot of growth for this war and for people to start realize just how serious of a threat they are. And it's really a crazy moment where you didn't expect it to be going that bad, and you thought that would be a more minor victory for the New Republic, where things would continue to get worse and this world would be safe, which would help them ultimately win in the end. But no, it completely turned around, and I really think that was just a great ending. I also like how Corrin was forced to take the blame for all of it, to not have the Jedi be restricted, and even though everyone is against it, they realize that this is the best option forward and reluctantly allow Corrin to take the fall for everything. And honestly, it's just a really great ending for what I would say is the beginning phases of the Yuuzhan Vong War. Things get a lot more crazy and insane going on, and even though it's not in the exact next novel, I know it is coming soon. I don't remember exactly which book it is because I haven't read them, but I do know that the ultimate attack on Coruscant is, I believe, in somewhere between the seventh to the ninth book. So I really can't wait to get to that point because the series has been really enjoyable so far. I really can't wait to see what continues. And just some other things that happen in this. I believe this is the one where the character of Garner actually gets a lot of humility in it and learns to not kind of be as arrogant as Kip's faction of the Jedi Order is, which is one of the kind of bigger plot lines that goes throughout the background of these stories, where there's sort of being two ideals in the Jedi. One of Luke Skywalker to be the more traditional Jedi and only really going for defense, not going on attack and being more of defenders, while Kip Duran is leading a separate faction that is wanting to be a little more aggressive and trying to proactively defend the galaxy. It is honestly a really interesting, debate to see throughout it. And me reading later parts of Legends do know they eventually managed to figure things out. Although, I don't know exactly how much they agree on it because it seems they go more of Luke's method with the Jedi over Kip's, and I'm interested to see how this kind of changes. But honestly, I think it is pretty interesting. I really can't wait to see where this series continues. And it's really interesting to see, even though I do know some of the major stuff and how the war ultimately ends out. But it's still interesting to read through, and there are things like, the Battle of Ithor, which I didn't know about, and I love that little twist at the end, because I do know the basics of it, but obviously I don't know everything because this series is extremely long, so there are a lot of surprises and things to talk about because main things talked about on YouTube is the, big moments like the loss of Coruscant and Chewbacca's death. So I do know about, those big moments, but of these more still major but not as thumbnail catching or crazy things to say is still giving you a good amount of surprise for the series. So I do like that, and honestly, I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.